Okay, when you think about just pure transcendent sports greatness, there are, a few names that just pop up everywhere.
Yeah.
Instantly recognized, doesn't matter where you are, what language you speak.
Hmm.
And for, gosh, the last 3 decades, maybe the most recognizable face, often kind of mid-flight, tongue out, is Michael Jordan.
No question.
We all know the highlights, right? 6 rings, those game winners, the dunks, just pure dominance. He's the GOAT. That's settled for a lot of people.
Absolutely. That athletic legacy, it's ironclad, totally fixed in history.
Mhm.
But, if we only look at the stats, the trophies, the jump shots,
Yeah.
we miss something deeper, something honestly maybe even more impactful, his commercial genius.
Right. We admire the player, but the business side.
Exactly. It's fascinating because way before he was this global icon, you had these early marketers looking at him and seeing not just a player, they saw a story, a
Yeah.
whole product narrative just waiting to be sold.
And that narrative basically built the most successful sports brand ever.
Pretty much, yeah.
Okay, so that is what this deep dive is all about. We're shifting gears here, moving from the hardwood to the marketing meetings, the boardrooms. We want to unpack how Michael Jordan built this empire. Billions of dollars, still going strong decades after he hung up the sneakers for the last time.
Mhm.
The sources we've looked at, they really suggest his true genius wasn't just the talent, incredible as it was, but how carefully, how honestly, controversially he was marketed.
Yeah, we're looking at how an athlete really for the first time on this kind of massive global continuous scale turned performance, pure athletic performance directly into like permanent commerce and cultural capital.
It's the blueprint, isn't it, for how athletes build brands today?
It really is. It laid the groundwork for so much.
Okay, let's dig in then. We have to start right at the beginning. How did that skill, that on-court magic, translate so perfectly into this money-making machine that just keeps running? Where do we start?
Well, you got to start with the man himself, the raw material, like you said, Jordan. It starts by acknowledging, yes, he was super marketable just inherently. But, and this is crucial, it went way beyond just being the best guy on the court. I mean, think about it. There have been lots of dominant athletes, right? But very few become these, generational brands. Jordan had something else, something in the delivery.
Right, and if you watched him play, the sources really hammer this point. Jordan didn't just, play basketball. He performed it. He was telling a story out there.
Yeah, exactly. An on-court storyteller.
Every single thing he did felt cinematic. Like, a dunk wasn't just 2 points. It was this impossible physics-defying moment you'd see on a poster.
Or the fadeaway jumper. Not just a shot. It was like art, fluid, powerful.
It's cool.
It looked incredibly cool.
Yeah.
And that aesthetic quality, that's key. He didn't need fancy editing or slow-mo. He was creating the highlight reel in real time every night.
Yeah, good point.
And fans, they don't just connect with stats. They connect with stories, with spectacle, with emotion. Jordan gave them a new chapter every single game, just building his brand through sheer energy and visual wow factor.
Okay, but it wasn't just the visual spectacle, was it? There was this personality, this charisma.
Yeah.
The sources talk about this duality.
Oh, yeah, the duality is central. It's what made him so compelling, both to watch and, crucially, to market.
So what are the two sides?
Well, on one side, you had that pure, almost scary intensity, the competitiveness.
Right, the guy who would punch his teammates in practice.
Exactly. Fiery, relentless, demanding absolute perfection from himself and, yeah, famously from everyone around him. That side was intimidating. It was uncompromising. It was all about chasing excellence no matter the cost.
Okay, that's the internal fire. But then
at the same time, he had this magnetic charm, almost like a movie star. He could connect with the audience completely differently off the court. The smile, the commercials, the interviews, he could crack a joke, seem relaxed, and suddenly that, god of competition felt approachable.
Right, he was inspiring, but you also felt like you could maybe, hang out with him, which was obviously not true, but...
Exactly. But that feeling was there. He felt accessible even while being totally elite.
And that paradox, that's marketing gold, isn't it?
Absolutely perfect. He's unattainable in skill, but you feel like you get his ambition. The source material really emphasizes this. The narrative they built wasn't just, watch me win. It was about excellence, about overcoming stuff, chasing greatness, and crucially proving the doubters wrong.
And that's the universal bit, I think. That's why it went beyond basketball fans.
Precisely. That story, the drive, the defiance that resonates with everyone. You don't need to know what a pick and roll is to understand wanting to be the best and shutting up the critics.
So they packaged the fire and the charm together.
And by doing that, They pulled people into his story, made them feel like, hey, if I align with this brand, if I wear these shoes, maybe I can tap into that spirit.
Wow.
And that foundation, that performance plus personality combo, that was absolutely necessary for what came next,
Right.
which is this incredibly audacious, super high-risk marketing gamble.
Okay, let's get into that. Nike, 1984. And we really need to set the scene here because, like you said, Nike back then, not the Nike we know now.
Not even close. It was hard to imagine, but they were genuinely struggling, especially in basketball. They needed something big.
Because the market was just dominated by
Adidas, and even more so, Converse. Converse was the basketball shoe. They had Magic, they had Bird, they had pretty much all the big stars. Their shoes were like the standard issue.
almost a monopoly on the NBA's feet.
Pretty much, yeah.
You're-
Nike's basketball shoes were just
Yeah.
there. An afterthought, really.
Okay, so Nike's struggling. They're the underdog in this space. And they decide to do something completely nuts.
Totally nuts for the time. They signed this rookie, Michael Jordan, straight out of UNC. And they don't just sign him, they give him his own signature shoe deal.
We got to pause on that. How big a deal was that decision?
It was huge. Almost scandalous. People thought they were crazy. Rookie deals like that. Especially for a signature line. Designed from the ground up for him. Unheard of.
Signature shoes were usually for guys at the end of their careers, right? Like a Lifetime Achievement Award.
Exactly. Maybe a small side thing. But this was different. Nike put down serious cash, like $2.5 million over 5 years, which was astronomical for a rookie then. A massive gamble based purely on his potential, his charisma, that kinetic energy they saw.
And what were they hoping for, sales-wise?
Their initial projections were pretty modest, actually. They hoped to sell maybe $3 million worth of Air Jordans over the first 4 years.
$3 million over 4 years. Okay, remember that number. Because what happens next? The real genius wasn't just spotting the talent or the big contract, it was the controversy.
Oh, yeah. This is where Nike turns a problem, a regulatory headache, into pure marketing gold.
So the shoes themselves, the first Air Jordans, red and black.
Bright red and black. Matched the Bulls' colors, looked amazing, but they broke the rules.
The NBA had this uniform policy, didn't they? Shoes had to be mostly white.
Yep, the infamous 51% rule or something like that. Shoes had to be predominantly white to match teammates. Jordans definitely were not.
And the league's reaction, predictable maybe?
Totally predictable, and exactly what Nike maybe secretly hoped for. The NBA fined Jordan every single game he wore those shoes.
How much was the fine?
Sources say $5,000 per game. Sounds
Yeah.
like a lot, and it was then, but...
But for Nike, pocket change compared to the marketing value.
Exactly. Most companies, you get fines, a bad press from the league, you pull the product, you
Wow.
change the color, you apologize, you retreat.
Standard corporate playbook.
Right. But Nike, they saw that fine not as a penalty, but as free advertising. Powerful advertising. So instead of backing down, they did the opposite. They leaned in hard.
They built the whole campaign around it.
They did. The sources talk about this famous ad they ran. It shows Jordan dribbling, focuses on the shoes, and the voiceover basically says, on September 15th, Nike created a revolutionary new basketball shoe. On October 18th, the NBA threw them out of the game. And then the killer line.
Fortunately, the NBA can't stop you from wearing them.
Boom. Genius. Absolute genius.
And that single move just flipped the script completely, didn't it?
Instantly.
Overnight.
Those shoes stopped being just athletic gear. They weren't just basketball shoes anymore.
They became a symbol.
A symbol of rebellion, of being an individual, of having the guts to stand out, to fight the power, basically. The NBA banning them was the best endorsement they could have possibly gotten.
It created this perfect narrative, young, cool superstar versus the old, stuffy establishment.
And that narrative just exploded. Remember that $3 million sales goal over 4 years?
Yeah.
Air Jordans brought in over $70 million in the first year alone.
70 million.
Yeah.
Just, wow. That's not just selling shoes, that's starting a cultural movement.
It really was. You could argue that modern sneaker culture, you know, the hype, the drops, the lines outside stores, it was basically born right there in that moment from that controversy.
And Jordan himself transforms. He goes from being this amazing athlete to being this desirable product, a product that stands for something cool, something nonconformist.
Yep. The foundation was set, performance, personality, and now this crucial layer of rebellion. The next step was building the myth.
Okay, so the shoe is a hit. It's a symbol. How do they keep that momentum going? How do they deepen the connection?
Well, Nike realized pretty quickly they weren't just selling shoes anymore. They weren't selling leather and rubber. They were selling the myth of Michael Jordan.
The story becomes more important than the product itself.
Exactly. That's the masterclass here. They started reinforcing this idea, maybe subtly, maybe not so subtly, that wearing the shoes, it could somehow give you a piece of his magic.
It's got to be the shoes campaign.
That's the one from Spike Lee.
Correct.
That phrase just permeated everything.
Yeah.
And psychologically, it's brilliant. I mean, obviously, everyone knows the shoes aren't really why he can fly, right?
Of course not. It's absurd.
But it creates this incredibly powerful mental link between you, the consumer, the shoe, the product, and this idea of transformation, greatness in a box.
By the possibility.
Exactly. They made the story the main product. The shoe was just how you accessed it.
Okay, but there's a risk there too, right? If he's just this untouchable god of basketball, maybe that gets old or unrelatable.
Good point. And they addressed that too. They needed to make him approachable, keep him grounded somehow, even while building the myth.
So how did they manage that?
Humor, pop culture, and specifically bringing in Spike Lee's as his character, Mars Blackmon.
Mars. Money. It's got to be the shoes.
Yes. Mars with the glasses, the bike cap, talking nonstop, asking Jordan all these questions. He was basically us, the fan.
The stand-in for the audience.
Totally. He made Jordan feel human, relatable, like someone you could actually talk to, even joke with. Those ads were cool. They were funny. They were catchy. They gave the brand this distinct cultural edge.
It wasn't just serious sports talk.
Not at all. It blended the intense athlete we saw on court with this like cool, funny cultural commentator off court.
Yeah.
And that made Jordan feel bigger than basketball.
You didn't have to be a diehard Bulls fan to get the joke or like the style.
Exactly. You just had to be tapped into what was cool in the wider culture. Music, movies, fashion. Jordan became part of all of it through those ads.
So that fusion, the myth-making, plus the relatability.
That leads straight to the core lesson here, the big takeaway for marketers that the sources point out. They were selling transformation, not just a product, but the dream that you could wear excellence. You could wear style. You could wear cultural relevance.
It wasn't push marketing, it was pull. They created this world, this narrative that people actively wanted to be a part of.
Right. You weren't just buying sneakers. You were buying into the whole Michael Jordan ethos. The winning, the style, the success, the cool factor. And that narrative was strong enough to last way beyond any single season or championship. It set the stage for real longevity.
Which then sets the stage for going global.
Precisely. The brand was huge in the U.S., no doubt.
Yeah.
But the moment it became a true global empire, that was 1992, Barcelona, the dream team.
Ah, okay. The Olympics. But more than just the Olympics.
Oh, way more. The sources are pretty blunt about it. They call the 92 games basically a global marketing campaign disguised as an Olympics.
Why? Because it was the first time NBA pros could play.
Exactly. Before 92, the NBA had some international presence, but it was limited. Suddenly, you have the best players, Jordan, Magic, Bird, Barkley on one team, showcased to the entire planet. Billions of people watching.
Many of whom had never really seen the NBA like that before.
Right. Especially not live, not with that kind of intensity and media focus. And the timing was perfect too, right?
Well.
Global media, cable TV was all exploding.
So Jordan wasn't just playing for Team USA.
He was the face of it. The face of American confidence, swagger, excellence. And his visibility, the endorsements, especially those Air Jordan logos on his feet, it was magnified like crazy. He was basically a walking billboard on the biggest stage imaginable, sometimes even overshadowing the actual Olympics narrative.
Wow. So connecting that to the bigger picture.
This event really cemented the NBA itself as a global force. And Jordan was right there, dead center. The result, the Jordan brand just exploded internationally.
Suddenly kids everywhere.
Kids in Spain, kids in China, Brazil, all over Europe, places where the NBA wasn't a daily thing. They all wanted to be like Mike. They wanted the shoes, the gear, that attitude.
So that global stage, that single moment the whole world was watching, was the catalyst.
Huge catalyst. It proved that sometimes the biggest branding opportunities come when everyone's attention is focused on one single defining event. He went from America's star to the world star, almost overnight.
Okay, so the brand goes global. But the strategy didn't just stop with shoes and apparel, right? They expanded.
Right. This is where we see the move into a full lifestyle brand. Positioning Jordan not just as someone who endorses products, but as the product itself. Everything became part of the Jordan universe.
Like the Gatorade deal. Be like Mike. That jingle is still stuck in my head.
Huh, mine too. And that campaign from '91, it's a perfect example. It wasn't just successful because Gatorade is, a decent sports drink.
It was the message.
Totally. The jingle, the visuals, they weren't selling hydration science. They didn't talk about electrolytes much. They sold aspiration.
The desire to be him.
Exactly. The drink became a symbol of wanting that fire, that excellence. They took something pretty mundane, a functional product, and wrapped it in cultural mythology. Made it magic.
And then, Space Jam, 1996.
Ah, Space Jam.
Which, on paper, sounds ridiculous. Michael Jordan playing basketball with Bugs Bunny.
It does sound like maybe a desperate cash grab or something, but it wasn't. It was absolutely genius branding. Think about what it did. It blended sports, cartoons, massive movie stars, hip-hop soundtrack, tons of merchandising, all into one giant package.
Appealing to everyone. Kids, teenagers, adults.
Right. Whether you cared about the Bulls' playoff run or not didn't matter.
Hmm.
Space Jam proved the Jordan brand was so big, so dominant culturally, it could work in any medium. It could literally team up with Looney Tunes, and it felt kind of cool.
It brought a whole new generation into the fold, didn't it?
Mhm.
Cemented him in pop culture beyond just sports fans.
Absolutely. So when you look at the whole list, the shoes, the drinks, the movies, the video games that came later, the clothing lines, you see this pattern. Everything he touched was carefully managed to fit into this larger Jordan ecosystem.
All reinforcing the core brand.
Exactly. He became the center of this commercial solar system.
Yeah.
And that guaranteed his relevance wouldn't just fade away when the championship stopped.
Okay, let's bring this home. Let's talk about the empire and the legacy. And maybe start with the most mind-blowing fact. The money.
Yeah, the financial reality is just staggering. And the sources highlight this one key point, which really puts the whole strategy into perspective. Michael Jordan has made more money from his Air Jordan deal, the royalties, the brand equity, than he made from his entire 15-year NBA playing salary.
Let that sink in. More money from the shoes than from playing basketball at the highest level for 15 seasons.
His NBA salary was huge for the time, over $90 million total, but the commercial side, the brand he built, it just dwarfed it.
So he didn't just define basketball.
He completely redefined what it meant to be an athlete in business. He shifted the model from being just a temporary endorser, someone paid to wear stuff, to being a permanent partner, an owner of a piece of global culture.
That's the ultimate proof of the strategy, isn't it? He didn't just get paid, he built equity. Long-term value based on the narrative, not just the dunks.
Exactly. And that brings us to this idea of cultural immortality, which sounds dramatic, but
But look at the evidence. Decades after his last game, he retired 3 times. The brand is still a phenomenon.
the data shows it clearly. New Air Jordan releases still sell out instantly, in hours, sometimes minutes. Nike isn't struggling to create demand. They're managing scarcity.
That's incredible staying power. And you see kids today, kids who were born years after he last played.
Kids who only know him from YouTube clips or the Last Dance documentary,
They still wear his sneakers like it's a badge of honor. It's passed down between generations.
that's not just brand loyalty. That's different. That's achieving cultural immortality. The story, greatness, rebellion, style, aspiration, it's proven completely timeless. The brand doesn't even need him to be playing anymore. It exists on its own.
It's history, it's fashion, it's status, all rolled into one.
Yep.
So if we boil down this legacy formula that the sources suggest, what are the core steps? How did the business of greatness get built?
But it seems like a clear structure emerges. Step 1, performance meets personality. You need the incredible skill, but also that compelling dual charisma, the intense competitor who's also somehow approachable.
Okay, foundation built. Step 2.
Storytelling meets strategy. That's the Nike gamble. Embracing the controversy, turning the fines, the ban, into this powerful story of rebellion and individuality, making the narrative the product.
Got it. Performance, personality, storytelling, strategy, and the final piece.
Culture meets commerce. Expanding beyond the core product, moving strategically into a whole lifestyle ecosystem, Gatorade, Space Jam, everything else, making the brand relevant across different parts of culture, ensuring it lasts long term.
Performance, personality, storytelling, strategy, culture, commerce. That's the blueprint.
That seems to be the formula, yeah. A legacy built on winning, absolutely, but sustained by brilliant disruptive marketing that turned a basketball shoe into like a permanent fixture of global pop culture.
Incredible journey. Okay, so this deep dive, we've tracked it all. From that risky Nike deal with Ricky all the way to this massive, enduring, multi-billion-dollar global brand, all fueled by, strategic rebellion and just masterful storytelling. It really is a blueprint.
It absolutely is. We've spent a lot of time talking about how Jordan and Nike Basically rewrote the marketing playbook, right? Selling the dream, not just the product, using controversy, creating a myth people wanted to join.
Yeah, they changed the game. But thinking about that foundation, it really makes you wonder, so much of the initial spark came from that defiance, that public fight with the NBA, the ban, the fines. That gave the shoes instant edge, instant narrative power.
It was crucial early on.
So here's a question for you, the listener, to maybe chew on after this. In today's world, today's media landscape, it's so noisy, right? Everyone's yelling, everyone's trying to be controversial, every brand wants to seem edgy.
Yeah, it's hyper-saturated, hot takes are everywhere, controversy gets clicks instantly.
Exactly. So if an athlete like Jordan emerged today with that same kind of talent and charisma, could that same strategy work? Would a league banning his shoes, fining him, would that still cut through? Would it create that same kind of authentic rebellion vibe?
Or have the rules just changed too much? When everyone's trying to manufacture controversy, does real controversy even have the same impact anymore? Does it still build that lasting cultural capital?
Interesting question. Something to think about as you watch today's stars try to navigate this crazy media world that Jordan, in a way, helped create.
Definitely something to mull over. That's the business of greatness.
And that's our deep dive for today.